Yo, what's going on, everybody? I wanted to do a little video about the Kruiz Control script that I put out a week or so ago and really clear up what the script is and what it does. Because if you've seen the links for it and you've come to this page, you might scroll down, you might look through here, and you might scratch your head a little and just say, you know, what is this thing? So that's what the goal of today's video is to, one, show you how to get it set up, and then two, give you some examples of how you might use it. So a blanket statement that describes the script is: Kruiz Control enables a pseudocode approach to manage and automatically handle Twitch channel points, Twitch chat, OBS or SLOBS, StreamElements, and Streamlabs. So it's all of those things mixed together to try and give you guys the best control over your stream. Another way to think about Kruiz Control is an alternative to a Stream Deck. So a Stream Deck allows you to set up buttons, and we can come in here and take a look at this. So if I open up my Stream Deck here, a Stream Deck allows you to create buttons. And this button is going to do all of these different things. It's going to hit a hotkey. It's going to trigger scenes in OBS. It's going to wait. It's going to go to another scene in OBS. We could have another one. Let's see. This one where it's a reset of my stream, where it goes to certain scenes, turns off and turns on certain sources. All of this is done via the Stream Deck, via their nice UI. And this is not supposed to be a competitor to Stream Deck in any way. The Stream Deck is a great application that provides some awesome features for streamers. What the Stream Deck doesn't have is the ability to automatically trigger those sorts of things when subs happen, when you're hosted, when you change scenes, when somebody sends a command or a chat message. It's that sort of functionality that Kruiz Control allows you to do. It allows you to set up those custom that custom list of actions or triggers or things that are going to happen when you want them to happen. To get a full grasp of what Kruiz Control is capable of, you can click this documentation link right here. And this will give you a general summary of all of the triggers and actions available. Now, I'm going to say trigger and action a lot throughout this video, so let's quickly clear up what that is. Triggers are the sections of code that you set up. It's the same as a button in your Stream Deck. So clicking the button, it is the trigger. But in Kruiz Control, the trigger might be your alerts. It might be a scene switch. It might be a chat message. And then the actions, the actions are whatever happens as a result of that trigger. So here's an example. We have a trigger when somebody uses the exclamation point case sensitive. And when that trigger happens, we take the action to send to chat a message. And then you can put as many actions as you want after a trigger. So yeah, a trigger is the event that happens, and then the actions are everything that happens after said trigger. Now, to get started with this script, you have to set up a bunch of settings. So let me go back to the home page of Kruiz Control. Here we go, we're on the home page. And if you go to the settings, there are a handful of settings that you need to set up if you're using Kruiz Control with channel points, chat, OBS, SLOBS, StreamElements, or Streamlabs. So I'm going to download the script and walk through each of those. To download the script, we can go back to the home page here. We're going to click this green button and hit the download zip button. There we go. I'm going to extract the contents of this folder. So now I have inside of my downloads folder, I have a Kruiz Control master, and here are all of the files. Now I can put this folder anywhere I want. So if I wanted to put this into my stream folder, I could. If I want to put this into a specific scripts folder, you could do that as well. But here's where we're going to change a bunch of things. So if I go back to the settings, let's say I wanted to use Kruiz Control for channel points. Whenever somebody uses a Twitch channel point reward, I want something to happen. So channel points, there's one setting. It is a user.txt file where we specify the Twitch channel to watch for channel point redemptions. Okay. And I don't even need to come back to this README to sort of understand what each of these files are. But in the folder that we downloaded, there's a settings folder. Inside of that settings folder, there's all of the different settings for each of the different handlers, as I call them. So channel points, chat, OBS, StreamElements, Streamlabs. In each of these folders, there's files that you need to put information into. This was the easiest way that we could come up with to allow people to put in their settings, because it's just text files. It's literally you're opening a text file and putting something into that text file. So hopefully this is the simplest way forward. So I'm in the channel points folder. I'm going to open this user. It's got a blanket text in here, but I'm going to track the user Cruiser8 because that's my Twitch user. I'm going to save it, close it. I'm done. Let me go back up a folder. There's a chat one as well. So if I want to connect to Twitch chat. All right, so there's a user file where I can put my username, Cruiser8. There's also this OAuth text file. I have no clue what to put in this. So let's come back to the README real quick. I'm in the chat section here. The OAuth text file. In order to send messages on Twitch, the script needs a Twitch IRC auth token. Get an IRC auth token here. Okay. So basically what this is that you have to tell the script a specific type of credential in order to connect to chat. And that's just the way that Twitch has it set up. This is entirely safe to do. So we're going to jump over here. This is a Twitch chat OAuth password generator. It's not something that I made. And you can revoke access to this application if you ever need to. But this is totally fine. In a technical sense here, this application uses a specific authentication flow, which means that the Twitch token that's about to show on the screen when I hit connect is only going to appear on your side, on the client side, on the browser. It's not going to get sent to any sort of server or something like that. So let me quickly connect here. I'll grab the OAuth token that's created and I'll put that into the file. All right, now I have that set up. We'll go back to settings. I use OBS, but if you use SLOBS, this script works with SLOBS as well. And if you use SLOBS, you don't need to put in any settings at all. So that's kind of cool for you. All right, so if I go to OBS, there's an address and a password. I don't really know what that means. Now, if you go back to the settings file, there's an OBS section where it talks about after installing the OBS WebSocket plugin, then you can find your address and your password at this section, this tools WebSocket server settings. Okay, so what is this? Somebody, this named Palakis or Stefan Lepin? I'm bad at names. This amazing dev has made a WebSocket for OBS that makes it really easy to connect to OBS in a script and make changes to sources, scenes, filters, what have you. So if you want to use the OBS WebSocket, click the link that was in the settings file, scroll down a bit. If you're on Windows, most likely, just use the installer. They also have a zip file that you could use, and then they also provide installation instructions for Ubuntu, Linux, and Mac as well. But most likely, you're just going to come down here, find the exe file, download this, run it, and then once that's installed, if you open or close and reopen OBS, let me bring OBS over here. If I go to Tools, WebSocket server settings, it opened up on the other screen. Bring this over. You can see that we have a WebSocket server, we have a server port, and a password. Now, if I go back to the settings folder, we have an address and a password. Now, address is normally going to look like this: localhost :4444. If for some reason you're loading Kruiz Control on a separate computer than the one that has OBS on it, at that point you would have to change this to be the IP of your computer with OBS on it. If you're not doing something like that and you have no clue what I just said, just leave this file the way it is and you'll be good to go. Password folder, or password file, sorry. Put your OBS WebSocket server password in here. Definitely recommend enabling the authentication for your WebSocket server and just putting some sort of password in here that you can then put inside of your password file. So I'm going to hit OK, move OBS back off the screen. I'm going to fill out my password here real quick for my WebSocket. Going to hit save. Close the file and good to go. Now the next part is if you use StreamElements or Streamlabs. Now if you use StreamElements, you need a JWT token? What the heck is that? So if I go back to my settings file here, I'm going to scroll down until I hit StreamElements. To capture alerts through StreamElements, you'll need a JWT token. Go to your account settings. What's this? Okay, so this is my account logged into StreamElements. Cool. Click Show Secrets toggle on the right and copy the JWT token value that appears into the file, and it'll look something like this. This is a completely made up token here, but it should be a very long string that really makes no sense to you or I. Alright, so we need to click this Show Secrets toggle. Our JWT token will appear right here. We're going to copy that into our JWT token file, and then we'll be good to go. So let me do that real quick, and then I'll be right back. Alrighty then. I filled out my JWT token file. I saved it. Let's go back up. And now I'm going to also walk through how to set up Streamlabs, just so that those of you that use it know how to do so. Streamlabs, I need a socket API token. Again, what the heck is that? Streamlabs, to capture alerts through Streamlabs, you'll need this token. Go to this link, click the API tokens tab, and copy your socket API token. Okay, so I'm going to look for an API tokens tab and a your socket API token. Let's come over here. All right, so I'm in my settings. Let me go to API tokens and your socket API token. Copy this value and put it into this file. Let me do that real quick and I'll be back with you guys. All right, so we got all of our settings done, and that took us maybe what, a minute to do, like a handful of minutes because I was talking through it. Nice. We now are good to go with Kruiz Control. And let me go up a few folders here. I'm gonna go back up to the top. So here is the root folder. And now I want to load this into OBS. Now, if you have any questions about what I'm doing, or you just want to read through what it is that I'm doing, there's a getting started link in the table of contents on the home page that doesn't work. Whoops. But when you see this, it will take you to this setup guide section. And this walks you through exactly what I'm doing right now. If you're using OBS, install that plugin that we looked at earlier by downloading the executable file. Fill out all the settings files, which we just did inside of our settings. We went through and filled out all of these. Now we're on the next step where we're adding the index.html file to our OBS or SLOBS as a browser source. So I'm going to bring OBS over and we're going to do just that. So let's see. I want to add a browser source. Okay, I'm gonna plus browser. I'm gonna name it Kruiz Control so I know what the heck this is. You can make it 100 by 100. It doesn't need to have any size whatsoever because this browser source doesn't necessarily display anything. It's just controlling everything. I'm going to set it to a local file. Let me go find the Kruiz Control script real quick. All right. So this is why you clear out your downloads, folks. I have too much in there. But I'm going to go into the folder and I'm going to add this index file into OBS. Hit OK. And in OBS, you'll see this little box up here, and you'll also see this little window here that says that there's a new WebSocket connection. Now, if you see that, great. That means it all works. If you don't see that, that means that potentially your OBS address is wrong, your OBS password is wrong, or your WebSocket is not turned on. Now, this only shows up for OBS. If you're using SLOBS, I don't believe it shows up. So what do I do now? Well, let me jump over to my BRB screen real quick. And I've set up a sample here where if I type in, I'm looking at the README over here. If I type in example into my Twitch chat, I should get back success, it worked. And then we'll start to talk about why that is. So let me try this. We're going to type in example, and you guys will see it show up in that box there. And I got back success, it works. Yay, cool. Everything's set up, and we are now good to go, and we are now able to start customizing our Kruiz Control script to do whatever we want for Twitch channel points, Twitch chat, Streamlabs, StreamElements, OBS, or SLOBS. So let's go back to our folder and take a look at how we can do that. So inside of the Kruiz Control folder, there's a bunch of stuff in here, and really there's only a handful of things that you need to pay attention to. And one is this triggers file. So let me open this up. It's got on command, B example, chat, send, success, it worked. So let's try and figure out what this means and where I can go to find out more information on what this is. If I go back to the homepage of Kruiz Control and I click this documentation link, here is a link, or here is a description of every single action and trigger that you can use inside of Kruiz Control. So I'm seeing an on command B example. What is that? Let me find on command over here. Let's go read about it real quick. So on command is used to trigger a set of actions when a command is used at the beginning of a message, where it is of the format on command, permission, something called optional info, and command. And here's the example here. Okay, so that looks very similar to this. Now, what is this? What is the B? What's the A stand for? Well, if I scroll up a bit, there's a section that talks about how the chat module works. Chat triggers use a permission parameter to specify who can use a command. The following values can be combined in any order. Now this is important because this means that you can customize who can use your command. So it looks like the following values are allowed. E for everyone, meaning anyone can use the command. B for broadcaster, S for subscriber, F for founder, V for VIP, and M for moderator. So when I go back and I look at this example, on command B example, B means that only I can use that command, nobody else can use it. I could change this to be B, S, F, V, M, which means the broadcasters, the subscribers, founders, VIPs, and moderators can all use that command. So I can use as many permission parameters here as I want, or as little as I need to specify who can use this. There's also an additional U parameter, which allows you to specify a specific user. So in the case that I wanted to make a command only usable by one of my mods or by one of my viewers, on command U, put the name of the user command. Now this is getting very into depth on the chat handler itself, and that's why all of this documentation is here, because the same sort of information is here for every single handler, whether it be channel points, OBS SLOBS, or Streamlabs. Alright, so the other thing in that file was chat send success it worked, which follows the chat send format where you type chat send and then the message you want to send. This feels pretty straightforward, so we could customize this and add in our own. Now this triggers file, we can put as many triggers in here as we want. So let's say that I wanted to add one where it is on command, everyone can use a sound effect. It's going to wait 3 seconds and it's going to play a sound effect that I've put into the folder here. Let me go get the name of it. This is a sample sound effect that I've included with the Kruiz Control download, and it is a .wav file. Now that's what I wanted to do, so let me go check if I've set this up correctly. On command E sound effect, E for everyone, so that should be fine. Now I use two new things here. I use something called delay and something called play, and if I go back up to the table of contents, there's a delay where I can put delay the number of seconds, so delay 8. Okay, so I put delay 3, so this should wait 3 seconds. And then there's a play option, which it looks like play, volume, wait, no wait, song file. Okay, what is this? Volume is the number between 1 and 100 to specify the volume of the sound. Wait, no wait determines whether or not the script waits until the song is done playing before completing the next action. And this is best emphasized by an example. So let me add something else. When this happens as well, we're going to send a chat message that is, hey, cool sound effect. Save. So now this might work. I need to finish setting up the play. Play takes a volume. I know that this sound effect is semi-loud, so let me just back it off to 60 volume. And I'm gonna have it wait. I want it to finish playing the song before it sends the cool sound effect message. Now if I hop back over to OBS and I bring this over, what I need to do is I need to open this source, scroll down to the bottom and hit refresh. And that allows it to, one, reconnect, but also load in this new trigger that I've put in. So let me hop over to the BRB scene so you guys can see the chat real quick. And let me try typing in sound effect. Did you guys see that? So let me do that again and let's talk through what's happening. So I use the sound effect command. It's gonna wait 3 seconds. It's gonna start to play the sound effect that I told it to play. And then after the sound effect is done, it sends the chat message. Now I could change this to be no wait, which is what the other value is. You can also just put no. You can also just put whatever you want here. And now let's watch what happens. I do the sound effect. It waits 3 seconds. Plays the sound effect. And it's still doing the same thing. So what went wrong here? Well, what went wrong is that we didn't reload Kruiz Control, so it didn't reload the options again. So let me quick jump over to the other scene, open Kruiz Control, refresh it, hit OK, send sound effect again. After 3 seconds, it immediately starts playing the sound effect and sends the chat message simultaneously. All right, cool. So this is really allowing us to customize what happens when commands happen using this sort of pseudo code format. Now let's look at what else we can do. And the best way to do that is to look at the table of contents, because then we get a real feel for everything. We can do triggers based on channel point. So instead of on command, we could change it to on channel point. We could do things whenever we're changing scenes in OBS. Let's try that. That sounds like it might be useful. So I want to do something so that whenever I switch to my BRB scene here, I want a chat message to be sent is what I want. So whenever I switch to my BRB, I want a notification to be sent to chat that said, hey, BRB, I'll be back in a bit. And that just makes it so if there's ever, a lurker or somebody behind the scenes just sort of not really watching, or they didn't hear you say, hey, I'm gonna BRB now, they at least get that message in chat as well. So let's do that. So it looks like for OBS, there are triggers for switching scenes, where I just need to put on OBS switch scenes BRB. So I can actually just copy and paste this, because this is exactly what we want. When I switch to the scene, where the scene is titled BRB, I want to send, hey folks, be right back. Just as a nice to have. Why not let folks know when I switch or when I'm about to leave. All right, so let's turn off Kruiz Control, or refresh the cache of it real quick. Let's turn it back on, and then now let's try switching. Ooh, so that actually worked. I switched scenes and it sent a chat message. Nice. Now what if I want to do it the same way back? Let's say that I have a cool video on my stream. So I actually loaded in this video right here called Cruiser Noises. And this Cruiser Noises video is a silly little video of... Actually, I'll just let it play. It's a silly little video that just shows some of the noises that I am very much capable of making. So let's say I want that video to display after a host, just for fun. Why not? Why not? All right, so let me think. I am gonna use Streamlabs here. So I'm gonna do on SL Twitch host. Now, remember, all of this information is in here. So if I scroll down to a Streamlabs section, here we go. Here are all the different triggers I could use: bits, donations, follows, hosts. So I want to use on SL Twitch host. I want to trigger things when somebody hosts a channel. When that happens, I want that video to be turned on. So let's see. It is called Cruiser Noises. One word. OBS source Cruiser Noises on. Save the triggers file. Refresh the Kruiz Control script. And now I'm gonna do a host that I received last week. Now that was very quick. It's very instantaneous. So maybe I want to add a little bit of a delay before that video shows. Let's say I want to add in a 5-second delay, and then I want to wait for that video to be over. Let's say 10 seconds. And then I'm going to turn the source back off. And this allows me to then turn it on next time I receive a host. So let me reload Kruiz Control, trigger the host again, and see what happens. So it should 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's now off. Now we can set up as many of these as we want. We can set up as many triggers as we want, as many actions as we want per trigger. The one thing to note that I've been doing sort of intuitively here is triggers are separated by an empty line So far I've always been leaving some lines between between these triggers, and that just lets the Kruiz Control know that, hey, this is a trigger, this is one trigger, this is one trigger, and it doesn't accidentally try to link these two together somehow. So that's enough of demoing some of the triggers and actions that are available. Let's talk about the rest of the folders and files inside of the Kruiz Control script that we need to know about. Now, the sounds folder inside of the Kruiz Control script is where you're going to put any sound effect that you're going to want to play. So if you have a meme sound effect, a foghorn, whatever it may be that you want to play whenever something happens, put that sound file into this folder and use that with a corresponding action, play action. So what this is right here, this play, volume, weight, name of the file, and please include the extension of the file. It has to be a .wav, a .mp3, or a .ogg, OGG. All right, and now let's talk about the two other things in here, the file triggers and the triggers folder. Now, file triggers is a sort of a unique implementation of the triggers file. Most users, you can put every single trigger that you would ever want to use inside of this triggers file, and you'll be just fine. What is file triggers? File triggers is the ability to add even more sections of triggers that gets treated in a special way. So if I look at sample here, so inside of my triggers folder, I had a sample file. Now this sample file has two commands set up, where if I type sample1, it should respond chat the first sample after a delay of 10 seconds, and then I have a sample2 that happens immediately, where it sends the second sample. So let me switch over to the BRB scene here, and let me immediately type in both sample1 and sample2. Now sample1, if you remember, has that delay of 10 seconds. So 10 seconds are going to go by before we see the message, the first sample, and then immediately after we see the second sample. Now what just happened? The second command, the exclamation point sample2, waited until the first trigger was done. So let's go back and look at that inside of the file. So we have this file, on command sample1, wait 10 seconds, do this, and then it waited to finish completion of this command before completing the completion of this command. Now what this allows us to do is sort of this is for power users of the channel that really want to put in a bunch of different triggers and a bunch of different actions, but they want to make it so certain triggers or actions conflict with each other, so you can only have one of them happen at the right time. Another way to think about this is, let's say you had multiple different sound effects that you created with this script. So you had a bunch of different commands that all used this sort of format to play different sound effects when somebody used the command or when somebody hosts or something like that. That's great, but you might want to make it so that Kruiz Control can only play one sound effect at a time, because otherwise it will play as many as it wants to. So what we can do is we can come into our triggers folder, create a new file, new text document. We'll just call this sound effects. We'll open this up and let's just add a bunch. So we're going to add another sound effect 1. We're going to add a sound effect 2, a sound effect 3. And we're gonna also just play the same sound effect over and over. But in your case, it could be different sound effects or something like that. I'm gonna change the volume just to make it a little bit louder in some other cases. And we'll also notice that one of them has weight and the other ones don't. So what should happen here is when sound effect 1 is ran, the sound effect will play and it will wait for the sound to be over before it continues. if I do sound effect 1 and then sound effect 2, sound effect 2 won't play until sound effect 1 is done. If I do sound effect 3 and then sound effect 2, because it's not waiting, it will play them at the same time. But let's say that I was also going to, you know, chat, send, hi there, and I'm gonna delay 20 seconds. In this case, it will wait it will wait at least 20 seconds before going to sound effect 3. Now, so we've created this file. We need to tell the script to pick up this file. Let me close this as well. Go up a folder. Let's open the file triggers document. We'll make sure to add soundeffects.txt because this is a new file that we've added that we want the script to pick up. This file is helpful for us in case we want to be able to add and remove a bunch of different triggers and actions in an easy way without removing the file itself. So let's say you're doing a really chill stream and you want to disable all of your sound effects for that stream. You could remove the sound effect file from the file triggers document, or you could also just comment it out by adding a £. And then I talk about this in the documentation a bit at the very top here. You can add comments to the files as much as you want. So if you wanted to create a really long action or trigger and you wanted to leave a note for yourself as to what it was, you can put a £, and then put whatever message you want afterwards. So we could say, let me open up our triggers file again. We could say that this is our example command, and that's not going to mess anything up, and it helps us know what it is. We can put it here to say it waited 3 seconds for the demo to explain to myself, why did I wait 3 seconds? Oh, that's why. So you can put as many of those as you want in. But now, if I go into OBS and I'm going to refresh Kruiz Control, I'm going to go over to my BRB scene. I'm going to type in SFX1 and SFX2 at the same time, and we should hear them wait for... We should hear the second sound effect play after the first sound effect. Good. They played after one another. Now, the thing to note here is that sound effect 2 isn't actually waiting for the sound to finish. So if I do it in the opposite order, they're both going to play at the same time. It was kind of interesting that they were on the same beat there. But that kind of explains how these extra files are working. Things will play one after another. Same thing for sound effect 3. Sound effect 3 is going to wait 20 seconds before it plays the sound effect again. So it's going to wait for 20 seconds, which is going to be longer than the sound effect itself. So there's going to be this awkward pause, and then it'll play the next sound effect. Alright folks, I do think that's going to be it for me this video. We walked through an overview of Kruiz Control. We walked through some examples. I tried to talk about each of the various points in the settings and the documentation, so you guys knew about, you know, comments and sound effects and what the file triggers text file was and how you could set up things to run after one another versus all at the same time. So now you guys have the full scope of what Kruiz Control is and what it can do. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys. Please do reach out to me on Twitter or Discord if you have any questions. I can only dedicate so much of my time to supporting people, but I will do my best. And I hope y'all have a fantastic rest of your week. Peace out, everybody.